Looking up to someone is something we have all done, and probably still to this day. Idolizing a hero, wanting to become what they stand for. When younger, it is most likely that these heroes were individuals striving to make the world a better place, with no flaws to them. Fictional characters are no exception, as I myself looked up to Superman, the personification of an incorruptible hero. However, as one grows older, we start to understand that there is no such thing as a perfect individual. Hence, one changes on who they aspire to be. Our old role models can also change through time, of course, which can be hard for us. While many still look up to their parents, the new characters we marvel at are more three-dimensional, and this can be easily seen in the video game industry, as it is the fastest growing sector of entertainment ever. And to market all of the different companies, we've had the much-loved mascots like Nintendo's Mario, Sony's Crash Bandicoot, and Xbox's Master Chief, I guess. Though while Mario and John 117 still are at the helm of their consoles, Sony has had the most varied of mascots: Jak and Daxter, Ratchet & Clank, and the character that I love, Sly Cooper, the thief. Wait, we're still talking about characters we look up to, right? As I said, we start liking more three-dimensional individuals that are in the grey zone of morality, and Sly was one of the first in my life that I appreciated, but why? Why would I look up to a thief? Was it his wit? Sarcasm? Maybe it's because he's a suave SOB, which is my favorite trait one can have.
Hey!
It wasn't always like this though, even if he was destined to be a thief. You see, Sly Cooper was born into the legendary thieving family, the Cooper clan, which has existed all the way back to year 10,000 BC. The family line has been all over the place: Egypt, Arabia, Germany, and so much more. And all of Sly's ancestors had one thing in common: they stole from criminals. For example, Henriette One-Eye Cooper was a female pirate who stole from other watery raiders. What made sure that this creed would go through history was that the family book, the legendary Thievius Raccoonus, recorded every Cooper's skills, history, and more. Which is why Sly has tons of similarities with all of his old family members. He has Ryuichi's style and Thaddeus' grace, and from this guy... Most of these were taught to Sly by his father, Connor Cooper, who was quite an accomplished pilferer himself. The idea was that the son would walk in his father's footsteps under his tutelage, and then by the age of 8 inherit the family book. There isn't much known about the raccoon's family life, aside from the fact that he took his father's teachings and that he was happy. But during the night that he would become the new owner of the Thievius Raccoonus, horror struck, as the criminal group, the Fiendish Five, attacked and murdered his parents, ripping the pages from the book and left the young boy orphaned. Hence, Sly's second step is to grow up in the Happy Camper orphanage, where he met his soon-to-be partners, Bentley, the brain of all of their operations, and the Murray, brawn of the gang. They not only became friends but brothers, they even had their first heist in the orphanage, to steal the cookie jar. They performed their respected roles to get the sweets, though while their first heist ended in only a few cookies, Sly fondly reminisces on this being the time when they truly became the Cooper gang. Before heading off to reclaim his heritage, Sly met Inspector Carmelita Montoya Fawkes for the first time in Paris. How everything happened is a bit difficult to explain, as in the comic they both recalled it a bit differently. The raccoon saying that he went to Paris for the simplest of reasons to enjoy the scenery, which can't be the whole truth, whereas the policewoman claimed that he was there to map out the area in preparation for illegal activities. Personally, I think the truth is an amalgamation of these stories, as the thief always embellishes his nobleness and Carmelita constantly feeds on that criminals are all the same. Yet, even with this combo, Sly helped the vixen, without her knowing, to bring down a rival thief, making Police Chief Barkley pleased with the inspector. Though the inspector was not pleased the second time she met our protagonist, as he stole the Firestone of India. This happened off-screen, being only mentioned during the beginning of the first game, as Sly stole some files about him and the Fiendish Five from the police station in Paris, as he was now 18 and ready to reclaim what was rightfully his, the Thievius
Dracomagookus.
I love this guy. And this guy is part of the group that killed our heroes' parents. So to just explain for those of you who have not played a Sly game before, they are split into episodes which focuses on one target each. All of them are themed differently. So the Cooper gang heads off to the Welsh Triangle to steal some pages from the fiendish Five chief machinist, Raleigh. But when they arrive, they hear that there have been an unnatural amount of storms, claiming both water vessels and planes. And during their reconnaissance, they figure out that their first target made a machine to create storms for the sole purpose of looting the deceased, causing the gang not only to steal the pages, but also do everything in their power to stop the Toad's evil plan. This is actually how every episode plays out. Sly, Bentley and Murray are arriving to a new area to learn that a member of the evil gang has a plan causing harm to innocent people, making them act selflessly by putting an end to the lunacy. Mugshot, a yo-yo gangsta who's seeking to turn Mesa City into a gambling empire. Miss Ruby, a necromancer who wants to build an undead army. And the fourth of the five, a demolition expert who threatens local villagers to pay him or else he'll make avalanches bury them down. The Panda King himself, Poe. So, Sly is a good person. He steals from thieves and stops diabolical plans. Of course, he doesn't work himself to the bone, as every episode epilogue shows the three brothers enjoying some well-deserved relaxation time. London City after stopping the storms, taking pictures and enjoying the weather. Visiting Hollywood after making Mesa City safe again, eating ice cream and seeing the stars, and even bathing in the tropics. They made sure that stealing wasn't all there was in their lives. Aside from Sly. I will return to this later, so keep that in mind. After looking through the returning pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly notices something eerie. On each of the photographs of his ancestors, a dark shadow is seen, and with a police report on the leader of the group, the owl Clockwork, the raccoon knew something was up. And we can see what the problem is there if we look at all of them. The shadow is in the picture behind Ryoichi Cooper, who lived in 1560 AD. In roughly 1860, Tennessee also met this individual, and even so far back to Sly Tutankhamun Cooper I, who lived roughly 3,300 years before our hero, was pictured with this shadowy figure, potentially Clockwork. So the obvious question needs to be asked: who the fuck is the photographer?
He's a criminal, that's who he is. A vigilante.
While that may be forever unanswered, we do know how the leader of the criminal gang lived for such a long time. Clockwork has actually been competing against the family line, maybe even to the first Cooper, as we see him in the Ice Age at 10,000 BC in Thieves in Time. This, with his jealousy and hatred, he replaced his mortal body with one of metal, just for immortality. He seemingly hated the Coopers as they always one-upped him back in the days, which I think is a given, as a giant freaking metallic owl might not be so good at stealth, but who knows. Though important here is that Sly almost dies protecting Carmelita by saving her, when, if he truly was just a selfish thief, wouldn't need to. We also figure out the reason for leaving him alive that night, as he says,
"I don't get it. You're so familiar with my family. You must have known my father had a son. If you hated the Coopers so much, why did you let me live when you stole the Thievius Raccoonus?"
Because I wanted to show the world that without your precious children, the Cooper line was nothing.
But this is not the case. Sly is proud of his family, and the book is evidence of this. The book do not create good thieves, even if the pages hold old secrets and techniques. The true value of the Thievius Raccoonus is that it is evidence of the accomplishments of his ancestors, his father and later his own, proving this by killing Clockwork, yeah he did, earning him a small vacation, while also stealing a kiss from Carmelita. And then leaving her trapped inside an active volcano. No worries though, in the first issue of the comic book series, The Adventures of Sly Cooper, which happens a year after the first game, and a bit before the second one, we see Mix Fox alive and well. While not much to talk about here, it ends with Sly being able to steal a statue, getting Carmelita to see that Dimitri was a forger, and some flirtation between the pair, as both of them clearly has gotten fond of each other, the officer wanting the thief even to work with her. Though, while this little piece of entertainment is indeed that entertaining, what we really need to look at is this, Sly 2, Band of Thieves. The narrative in the sequel pretty much continues where the last one left off. All of the Clockwork parts were collected to be sent to a museum, and after getting an anonymous tip that if they were reassembled it could revive said bird, the gang wanted to destroy the pieces. This, however, did not go according to plan, as the Claw gang was one step ahead of them. This group has actually split many of the parts amongst themselves, like using the eyes to hypnotize criminals to make them spill where they have hidden their loot, the heart to increase the production of illegal spices, and the tail feathers to forge fake money, meaning that Clockwork never had to be a thief, but only had to shake that moneymaker.
Guess that wasn't too bad.
She truly is a gateway. The trio instantly went to Paris to reclaim the tail feathers from the nightclub owner Dimitri, whose job in the Claw Gang was to distribute the spice that Rajan made. There are two interesting things we can take away from their mission in France. Sly feels that forgery makes being a thief not honorable or fun for that matter, but what really is fascinating is that Constable Neela, who gave the Cooper Gang a small nudge on the Claw Gang, befriends our hero, and the raccoon seems quite happy about this.
Oh, we are absolutely going to work well together.
What I find interesting here is that to be a game for a younger audience, Sly doesn't lock his heart only to our foxy vixen, and actually starts flirting with Neela. Heck, in India, after they have danced and stolen the wings of Clockwork, he directly asks,
Look, Neela, as soon as this India job is over, why don't you and I go out on the town? We'll dance through Bollywood and eat curry all night long.
This shows that he isn't just a suave gentleman who flirts just for the fun of it, meaning that he keeps his options open, unlike other mascots out there. That gets a point for me for being realistic. Not that it overall matters, as the tiger betrays Sly. She and another member of the Claw Gang, the Contessa, arrests the thief, Muscle, and the gateway. They're busting. No! They were tailing. Oh, god damn it. Mugshot?
Cop hag!
Thank you, and the cop hag, because she had been dancing with the leader of the Cooper clan during the India heist, though she was unaware of it. They were all sent to Prague, where the spider was creating a hypnotic device to put anyone who has consumed Rajan's spice into an uncontrollable rage. It didn't take long for Bentley to save the gang, and together rescue Sly's sweetheart, ultimately reclaiming the Eyes of Clockwork and putting the Contessa behind bars, as she was part of the infamous criminal gang, of which there are two more members, Jean Bizarre, whose job was to transport the illegal substance from India to Paris, and the leader, Arpeggio. After dealing with the prior in Canada, our heroes met with the small bird on top of his blimp, where his plan was laid bare. Clockwork might be dead, but his hatred was everlasting because of a hate chip, which could make anyone immortal if enough hate was filling it up. So the idea was that Rajan would create a specific spice for Dimitri to distribute around Paris, of which the Contessa's machine would cause the entire population of the City of Love to go bananas, to fill up the hate chip, making Arpeggio immortal. Oh my god, Kingsman is Sly too!
Fuck yeah.
This, of course, doesn't go as planned, as Neela betrays the little guy to become one with the big guy, branding herself...
Behold, Halakla is born!
Anyways, after beating the stripes out of Neela, the hate chip gets destroyed by Carmelita, a cop ending the terror that has loomed over the Coopers' history. There is one consequence. Bentley loses his ability to use his legs. Willing to bring himself in for his comrades' freedom, showing selflessness yet again, we see Sly spend more time than needed with the Inspector, can't imagine why, before escaping from a smirking Carmelita, proving that she herself likes to chase. This brings us into the second issue of the comic, taking place a year later, where one of Connors' previous partners informs Sly of the Cooper Vault, which holds loot from every Ancestor's grandest heists, and where to find it. We also see that without Bentley, the Cooper Gang is less than graceful during their nightly escapades, making them get him from the hospital and the police. The issue ends with Murray leaving the gang, as he feels like he was the reason for Bentley's disability. Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves, is told through flashbacks as Sly is in a prickly situation where he feels like he was a coward by not starting a relationship with Carmelita, showing that when he believes it to be over, his mind drifts to the woman he cares most for. The reason for this situation is that Dr. M, another one of Connors' previous partners, went a tad bit insane as he wanted the vault for himself, turning the island into a fortress, meaning that the Cooper Gang needs a bit more manpower. And where else to look for power than their old pal Murray, who was in Venice on a spiritual journey to stop the pollution made by the mob boss in the area. They helped him to do so, returning him into the Murray.
I'll floss my teeth with your spine!
Fascinating here is that the protagonist is actually willing to help Dimitri get out of jail to get information about the hippo, showing that he does not hold a grudge for what happened earlier against the purple disco maniac. After saving Italy from the mobster, the trio went to Australia to meet with the guru, Murray's spiritual guide. This ended with him joining the gang as they stopped some miners there and an old cursed mask. Penelope followed soon afterwards, as they needed an RC specialist to infiltrate Dr. M's island. Dimitri was added after that when he asked for a favor that the hero owed him, showing that he keeps true to his word, making him the underwater expert of the now big Cooper gang, though the most interesting individual to join, the Panda King, who was part of the murder of Sly's parents. Being first adamant of this choice, he agrees that there is no one else skilled with explosives as the Panda, so when he meets him again in the dreamscape as he is meditating, he shows that while forgiveness might be too much for Sly to give, he has accepted that the past is in the past.
Years have passed, and we both changed. Come out of this trance. Let's meet each other as we are today, and let go of where we were when this fight occurred.
He also goes against the feeling of revenge as the Panda King's daughter is being forced to marry General Zhao, causing all of them to do everything they can to save her, not only to get the demolition expert on board, but after hearing this.
She's a woman. She doesn't know up from down.
After finishing their business in China, the Cooper gang has turned into something to behold. Evidence being how easy it was to get into the vault, as Carmelita helped them. In a metallic cavern filled with gold, Sly learned his final family technique that never got written down in the Thievius Raccoonus, the ability to slide on lasers, made by Connor Cooper, his father. And after beating the brain of his father's gang while the vault was about to collapse, our hero takes a bullet for the one he loves, making the policewoman go bananas on the monkey, quickly leaving with Sly, who seemingly, not really, has gotten amnesia, making Carmelita seize the opportunity by saying that he is her partner, finally creating a relationship between the two. The original trilogy truly shows the journey of a young boy turning into a man, Sly starting with the burning feeling of revenge to later honoring his family's wishes. We see him going from caring only for stealing treasure to getting into flirtatious relationships, both of his options on the other side of the law. The fourth game of the franchise shows that when he seems to finally lie back from his criminal activities, he feels the itch, making it rather obvious for his lover. And it truly is integrated into him, as every time they've had their vacations between their missions, where Bentley and Murray enjoy their free time, the leader couldn't help himself. Sly Cooper values his friends and family above all else, feeling pride for his heritage and family name, love for his brothers, and willingness to help others, even if it wasn't part of the original plan. He's blind when it comes to the woman he's attracted to, even unsure on what to feel, as he had been flirting with Carmelita for a long time before Neela, but that didn't stop him from doing the right thing. And that is the main reason why he returned, holding back his thieving ways until his family was in danger again for Carmelita's sake. To do what is right, by doing what the law deems wrong. And that is the mind of Sly Cooper. Hi there! Really hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm terribly sorry for spending an entire month without making, anything. Yeah, I was procrastinating. There are no excuses really. I was just stupid. Will not happen again. I will try at least. And I want to, take YouTube more seriously. I want it to be, something big in my life. Whatever. So yes, if you're a Sly fan and you wanted me to talk about Thieves in Time, I'm terribly sorry for not doing so, but I just feel like the original trilogy kind of summed up Sly's journey from a young adult to a grown one pretty perfectly. And I feel like the fourth just didn't add anything, that important. If you're new to this channel, I highly recommend that you subscribe, because if you like video games characters as much as I do, well, you might enjoy some of my stuff. I've also tried to get more into myself more consistently. I'm sorry for, having such a gap between them, but I really want to take it more seriously, as I said. So yes, I have tons of games I need to review. So I'll just jump straight into that. Anyways, I'm KingJ.Grim, or the guy who really wants disco to be a huge thing again, whatever you prefer. And I'll see you guys next time. Who took the juice?